very, very good FA Cup final. And Hatchin! What a magnificent goal!
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's live All Things Sky Blue Fixtures release show. We'll be talking about a number of things, including obviously the fixtures that's just been announced today. We'll be talking about the off-field announcements by the club regarding the season tickets, way to get allocations, etc. And we'll also be talking a little bit about the World Cup. We've got sort of England and Scotland's progress, and we're joined tonight by Cameron and Scott, who I'll bring in shortly to talk about that as well. Before we bring them in, I'm just going to announce a new sponsor for the All Things Sky Blue. Proudly to announce that Corrigan Bentley, which is a UK recruitment and logistics company, have very, very kindly sponsored us, are going to sponsor us this season, or our sponsors, shall I say, more to the point. We are actually looking for more sponsors. So if there's anyone listening out there that would like to sponsor our podcast and YouTube show, please contact us at allthingsskyblue@gmail.com. If you're on Facebook or Twitter, or X, shall I say, my X handle is ATSBMark. And feel free to message me on Facebook as well. So we're going to bring Cameron and Scotty on. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Absolutely splendid.
Are we excited or are we not really that excited?
We're buzzing. Coventry in the Premier League and Scotland are actually top of the World Cup group. I couldn't be happier.
And then, that might still be the case after 1 o'clock tomorrow morning as well.
Looking forward to it. I think today was a big kind of kick in the head, so to speak. It's there. When you're logging onto Fantasy Premier League football, typing in Milan Van Erik's name, and there he is, and Victor Torp. That's when it really hit me today. But yeah, really excited. Yeah, definitely.
I think the fact that we're playing the champions of the Premier League is, to me, is a massive, massive test, a tough game. But in a way, Cam, I guess it's good to play the big fish early, get them out of the way. I mean, obviously, 2 of our first 2 away games against first and second in the league. So it's quite an easy start, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think you could ask for a harder start if you tried. But I've always been in the opinion of that you have to play them eventually. So if you play them early, if we get a few beatings, we get a few beatings, and given how good those teams are, that might be the case. However, in between that, we've got a winnable home tie against Hull City, who will be very eager to get off to a good start themselves. So I think it's a very exciting first 3 games of the season, the best 2 teams in the country, and another promoted side who are determined to cause shocks in the Premier League. So I don't think I could have asked for a better start.
No. What's your thoughts, Scotty, on the start?
Yeah, I'm with Cam. I think I'm a big believer in early season blues for any sports, like the first round at Wimbledon. You've got to catch them cold, these kind of teams or superstars. I think this is definitely the way to start the season. If you're not going to get up for that game, Arsenal away, first time back in 25 years, you're never going to get up for a game. So no, I think it's a great opportunity for us to really test our mettle. And if we are to come away with 4 points out of 9 in the first 3 games, I'll be very happy. But looking at the fixtures, I think it's down to January and February. If I'm being honest, I think in that span of 9 games in that after Christmas period, you've got the likes of Palace, Everton, Leeds, Sunderland, Brentford and Bournemouth. And if you're not getting points there, you're running into the likes of Aston Villa, Arsenal, Chelsea, City and those kinds in the space of 5 out of 9 games. So I think that's where it's made and break for me. But yeah, start of the season, if we got 3 points realistically is a target for me, but if we got 4, I'd be over the moon.
Yeah, I think the whole game is a winnable game, definitely, that second game. I think if you get any points out of Arsenal or Man City, it's a bonus. Even if we're 1-0 up and Arsenal scored in the 95th minute, I think it's still a point gained regardless, because let's face it, not many teams around us realistically going to take points off them. So, it's a monumentally tough match, this Arsenal game.
It would be a typical COV thing to do, though, Mark, like we've done in previous seasons, drawing with Hull in the first 2 games of the season, previous seasons, and then we'll beat Man City away and lose at home to Hull. That wouldn't surprise me. But
No, it probably wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it's a great start. I think one of the things that I think that will be a continuation. One good thing I think is the constant, I'd say, support. The fact that we'll go to these games away and it will be a very passionate, fervent support. And I think I'm hoping that in a way might drive the players on a bit. I mean, I'm kind of clutching at straws here because I think playing the team with Arsenal's class is going to be massively difficult. I'm just thinking the reasons why we could win. They could be getting caught cold from the World Cup as well. You know, players from the World Cup, they could be a bit tired of that. That's what I'm thinking as well. But I think there's so many little things. I'm sorry, Mark. I think there's so many little things like a top-class sportsman. I think the Cape Verde situation, drawing with Spain. I mean, if players coming into the Premier League, I'll be sitting at home thinking I take inspiration from that. I think Coventry away to Arsenal, away to Man City is probably an easier task than Cape Verde had on paper. Just little things like that I'd be picking up on, thinking, oh, I'd fancy that if I was the likes of Josh Eccles and Bobby Thomas, all the boys sitting at home, they'd be thinking, yeah, looking forward to getting the teeth stuck into these type of teams. That's what you play Championship football for. It's to get these opportunities, really, isn't it? So, yeah, absolutely, yeah, and it'll be an opportunity for them to shine. So I guess let's look at the first. I'm just going to go through the first, say, 10 fixtures. So Arsenal away, Hull at home, Man City away, Brighton at home, Forest away. And I think the last few games is Newcastle at home, Spurs away, Fulham at home, and Sunderland at home. So, how many points out of that do you think we can get? Go to Cameron first.
I'm just calculating it now. I'm just going fixture by fixture. So if you want to go to Scotty first, feel free. I'm just calculating them as we speak.
Scotty, the mathematical brain. How many points are we getting?
Is that in the first 10 games, you said, sorry? Or the last 10?
Yeah, first 10.
Well, like I said to you, I'm realistically, first 3, we get 3 points. We'll lose to City and Arsenal, probability-wise. I think we'll beat Hull. I think we'll have too much for them. Brighton at home, probably a draw, 4 points. I think Forest away, I'll probably be realistic for a draw, 5 points. Newcastle at home, I fancy us to beat them. I'd probably go, that'll be 8 points. Spurs away, tough game, probably lose. They're going to be very strong this year, and there'll be a point to prove. And I think we'll beat Fulham and Sunderland. So I think, what's that, 14 points. I'm going to go for 14 points from the first 10, which will put us pretty much on the bang, ready to go for that January, February, and I'll be looking at that. So I reckon we'll be on target for what I've got in my head for the end of the season. So 14 points from the first 10.
I'm going 15. I think we can get 15. But yeah,
I guess I'm a pessimist here because I've gone for defeat against Arsenal, a win over Hull, a defeat against Manchester City, a draw against Brighton, a draw against Forest, and another draw against Newcastle. So that'll be 3 draws in a row, a defeat to Spurs. So how much does that make? That makes it 8 points. And I've gone for a win against Fulham and a draw against Sunderland. So that takes it to 12 in 10 games.
Yeah.
So, but crucially, no losses at home.
Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed that. I think the home form is going to be absolutely massive this season. You know, if we've got any real chance to stay up, we've got to be picking up points. I think where the inspiration would be some like a Sunderland. Obviously, they did spend a lot of money, admittedly, but their home form was really, really good. So I'm hoping that, you know, obviously there's a long way to go before the start of the season, but I'm hoping for some signings as well, which would be nice. Some good signings. And I think there's a question here from Glenn about Carl Rushworth. How much is too much to pay for Rushworth? I think the story was we were linked with him to sign him for about £28 million is the supposed rumours. Is that too much money? I mean, we obviously Carl Rushworth, player of the season last year. There's no question on that. But is he worth the money?
I'll answer first if it's okay. I was actually driving home today thinking about this. Funny enough, this subject. I've seen the 28.2 kind of rumor going round. If I'm being really honest, I think it's too much. I think you have to look at investing in the team for the Premier League. Rushworth is obviously the number one target, I believe. Well, so we believe anyway from rumours, etc. But I think there comes a point where you have to say he was obviously on loan last year, and he was player of the season, arguably for many people. But is 28 million too much for a goalkeeper? Do you spend 15 on maybe adding to the defence with experience, or do you look for free signings elsewhere, throw all your eggs into one basket? There is also a chance, God forbid, if he got injured, you could have bought maybe 2-3 players with that 28 million to strengthen other areas we need backup in. And then it's 28 million down the drain. You're relying on Oliver Dovin coming back to fitness and Ben Wilson as the number 3. That's if he stays. So for me, I think the cut-off point, I'd say 22.5, 23 million. I think I'd say enough is enough. But knowing Tony Bloom's background from his poker playing, he's investing in horse racing, it's a bit of a drop in the ocean to him. I don't think he'd be overly bothered business plan wise. I think if Doug King puts the money down, 22.5, negotiates a bit more, I think we'll get our man, maybe even for 20. But yeah, that's what I'd be saying. 22.5, no more.
Cam, what's your take on that?
I think the beauty of it is we don't know how much we've actually offered. I think obviously there's been reported that a 20 million bid was knocked back, but I think that wasn't necessarily an issue with the overall fee. It was more that Brighton possibly wanted more in add-ons. So in turn, so maybe it's a case where we give Brighton more money and they're still happy with that. But end of the day, we don't know. That's just the beauty of a rumour mill. It makes people speculate. It scares some people. But that's just the beauty of it. Just let time do its thing, and all goes well. I'm confident we get our man.
Yeah, I think he's a player that if he knows the players, knows the squad. He's settled in really well. You know what we're going to get from the personality. I do kind of understand where Scott is coming from in the price tag, because you think, could you get someone slightly cheaper? I mean, one player I'm thinking maybe is Aaron Ramsdale. But I think what it also boils down to is wages, and I think that's going to be a slight problem. I think for us with attracting players is, I think Doug King has got a fairly strict sort of budget on what he wants to pay players a week. The rumor is it's around 50,000 tops, so it's attracting those a really good player. And I guess the other thing with Rushworth is that if we do go down, will there be a relegation clause as well in his contract? Which,
you'd imagine there would be.
Yeah. So,
do you think that Brighton having European football, the extra revenue, will have a slightly less impact on a bigger impact on the price tag for him? Maybe reduce the cost a bit, and they'll think.
Who knows, Scotty? Really? Difficult to say.
Yeah, possibly, because while they'll have money to spend, because the Moneyball model is so successful. Case in point, Jan Paul van Heck's gone to Tottenham for like 60 million. So they've already have a bit of money coming in, a little bit extra from Rushworth going. I don't think that hurt them at all, and that could help them just add more depth to their squad so they can be competitive on two fronts.
Yeah. Right, get some comments from our audience. Just gonna come out here. Right. Another thing we'll talk about is Lampard's future, and it looks like it's going to be with us, which is great news. We're close to agreeing a 3-year deal for Lampard, whose current terms are due to expire next year. So, I mean that's really good news. I think that was any of you sort of panicking about Lampard leaving, or do you think it was nothing to worry about all along? You heard of various clubs being linked with him.
No, I didn't worry. I didn't worry whatsoever. Every time I saw someone says that Lampard, had a laugh, moved on to the next rumour.
Fair enough. Very relaxed. Scotty, was you at all concerned?
No, not one bit. I thought there's only one job he'd ever leave us for at this stage, and that'd probably be the Chelsea job. But we kind of knew Alonso was going there. But no, I wasn't worried at all. I thought the only other temptation possibly could have been Crystal Palace, but it was never to the front of my mind. I'm not going to be rude to him, but he'd be stupid to leave now, in my opinion. And I don't think he's that stupid. I think he's got his head screwed on. I think he likes it here. And no, I was never worried. Yeah,
no, I tend to agree with that. But then again, I think with Chelsea, I think he's already had 2 spells there already. So I'll be, it may be tempted for another spell there. But I think he's in a good job with us. He's loved by the fans. He's pretty settled. I think he's living in the area. He's got his main house in London, but I think he has got a pad here as well. So I think overall he's settled. So I think it's really, really good news. And it must be good news in the sense of he's signed that contract on the basis that King must be promising money to spend on players as well, you'd have thought, wouldn't you?
Exactly. I said that to someone today. I think if you see the manager getting a three-year deal proposal and he's looking like he's going to be happy to accept it, there's going to be promises there in the back room. So I think we could have a few surprises this year. I think we'll see some price tags of players we sign and we'll think, oh, didn't expect that. But I think you're right. I think you nailed it, Mark, there.
Yeah. Okay, let's get some more comments. Might be a question for you, Cam, from Skyblue Sam. We're interested apparently among a player called Peter Stanic from Ludogorets. Do you know much about Peter Stanic?
I was just reading about him before we came on. Ludogorets are reportedly seeking a 10 million euro fee, so whatever that equates to in pounds. I'm used to say it because inflation changes that all the time. But he's had a really good season in Bulgaria. The monopoly in Bulgaria came to an end as Leicester Sofia won the Bulgarian league. But Petar has had a very good season. He's not long broke into the Serbia side. He scored in a friendly against Mexico. Players you haven't heard of obscure shouts. I like it because 50,000 wage bill. In terms of maximum pay, he probably wouldn't need to be paid anywhere near that. But targets like that in Europe, it shows that we have a wide scouting net where we can look for talent across the world, and there is talent in these countries like Bulgaria and Romania and Serbia. There's talent there, so I would absolutely have an interest if the interest is strong. Ability is clearly there because he was doing well in the Serbian league before his stint at Ludogorets.
So where would is he a midfielder, would he, Cam?
Yeah, he's a number 10. So you'd imagine it'd be competition for Jack Redoni.
Okay, that's interesting, yeah. I think there's a question here from your average COV fan. I was going to bring up and hear who at the World Cup so far would you like to see us sign realistically? I'll give you my answer in a bit, but I'll go with you first.
Leo Ostigard, come home, please.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. Do you think he'd come back, or do you think it's that ship has sailed?
I don't see why not, actually. So he spent the first half of last season on loan at Genoa, at Rennes. It absolutely brilliant for Genoa. They upgraded it to a permanent deal. I think it was only like 3 million euros or something, which was an absolute steal. And I think they could easily sell him for 10 to 12 million euros at the lowest. And I don't think Genoa would like it. It would be a big loss for Genoa because he's like the jewel in their defense. But I definitely think it'd be doable. And from what I understand, I don't think Ostigard really wanted to leave Coventry. It just called for him to leave because we wouldn't have had the finances to afford him at the time. Stoke City came in, he went on loan there, and he has had success in Europe. He even went on to win a Serie A title with Napoli, although he's in a bit part role. He did a good job. He did a really good job in a second season where he's more of a regular, but Genoa this season in particular, he's been absolutely brilliant. And he scored a World Cup goal the other day, so he definitely did himself a lot of favours in terms of attracting even more interest after a really good season in Italy.
Yeah, no, I thought he did really, really well for us. In his time. What's your thoughts on Ostigard? Or is there any other players in the World Cup you'd like to see come to us, Scotty?
I'm not going to lie, Mark. I haven't really watched much of it, so I can't really give you an answer. I mean, Ostigard, is it realistic? I don't know. I mean, was it 5 years since he left us?
What about? I'm going to throw a name out there. Kyle Larin. I know it's a spell at Southampton, but
he's just made his deal with them a permanent one, so I'm not sure that's on the table.
Okay.
I'm afraid.
Okay, fine. I'll scrap that one. I'll come. But it would have been. I think I guess my point is we need another striker, don't we? We're probably short of a striker or two. I know we've got Hadji Wright and Ellis Sims and maybe Thomas Asante, but I just feel it's a position among other positions that I feel we're a little bit weak, and I feel we just need extra bit of quality up front for me.
Away from the World Cup, I don't know if he's even in the World Cup. I don't think he is, and I don't know his situation at West Ham. But I was a massive fan of Tati towards the end of the season. He was the target man with a massive shot in him. He's the one player I could see playing for us in the Prem, but I think that could be a bit of a shot in the dark. Cam will probably know more about him than me.
I think the transfer fee would be too much.
Yeah, okay.
I saw something on the chat. Steve Johnson mentioned the name Ross Stewart from the Cheats. Or do you think we need to aim? I think Ross Stewart for me would be the injury prone. That's the only sort of thing I'd say against him. But has got an eye for a goal. Is that a target? Do you think, or is that probably unrealistic?
I've watched him since his days at Ross County. I love the guy to bits. I really do. I thought he did really well at Ross County. He got back, got his move to Sunderland. Absolutely brilliant with Sunderland. Scoring goals for absolute fun. Went to Southampton. It's been injury ridden, but this season he's somewhat stayed fit. Scored the goals. He's on the plane so he's in the squad with Scotland for the World Cup. How often he'll play, I don't know. Shankland and Shea Adams and possibly Lyndon Dykes will be hard to displace. But I love him, but I can't see that one. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he actually returned to Scotland.
Yeah. Your average coffee fan mentions Basel's Benny Traore and Ivan Ilic, another two names touted online. Do you know much about them? And do you think they could be the sort of players that we could be looking for?
I actually think Ivan Ilic is an upgraded version of Ellis Sims. He maybe doesn't score as many goals as Ellis Sims, but for what he lacks in actual goal scoring, his link-up play is phenomenal. He's a striker. He scored about 5 times for Union Berlin this season. However, he got 9 assists, which I would think counteracted for lack of goals. In terms of link-up play and bringing others into play, I think he's someone that a Jack Credoni or a Mason Clark or a Sakamoto, or maybe a Haji Wright if you're going to play in a 2. I think he's the sort of forward that they would love, because for what he might lack in goals, his link-up play is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I don't think it costs an awful lot either. And as for Benny, so Benny Traore, he was signed. Sheffield United signed him from Häcken when he was a teenager. He had a great season in Sweden. It didn't really work out. Maybe he just wasn't ready for that occasion. He had a loan at Nantes, but then he went to Basel. And the last 2 seasons, he's been absolutely phenomenal in Switzerland. He's 23 years old now. He would have done a lot of maturing. He's a left winger, and maybe he's ready for a second shot at Premier League football. So, yeah, it's a good shout. He's a wiser and more mature footballer than the Sheffield United version of him, who was maybe just a bit too young for that opportunity and not quite ready yet. But he's now more rounded. Yeah,
fair enough. Glenn said that his World Cup picks would be Leiria from Canada, Just from New Zealand, and the 2 Cape Verde centre halves. I never heard of Just from New Zealand. Sounds like
I didn't mean to laugh. I didn't expect that. Sorry.
Yeah. Shows my knowledge of New Zealand football. In fairness,
if you're going to watch Cape Verde players, they'd put a glass eye to sleep if they played 0-0 like that every week, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but realistically, that was a great result, but.
I'm not sure about that one. I think I could see Eli Just maybe getting a move to a Rangers or a Celtic this summer, because he's currently at Motherwell and he was absolutely sensational in Scotland, and he was absolutely sensational against Iran. But I think Scottish football or Championship football is probably Elijah Just's ceiling. So while I admire the optimism, I think we need to keep it realistic. I don't think Just is Premier League level.
What about,
sorry, Mark, going away from the World Cup, quick question for both of you, because I know Cam has been on about Vipotnik from Swansea. What's the situation with him, and would you see him there?
I think he signed a contract, didn't he, with Swansea?
Did he signed? I haven't been following the contract.
Yeah, but I think he's got an eye for a goal. But I think he did sign a contract recently. But we definitely need a striker, and he scored plenty of goals.
I've heard Sporting have a very strong interest in him.
Yeah. What about Hayden Hackney? Is that a non-starter for you guys?
As a player, absolutely, I'd welcome him, but I could see a mid-table club who are more established beating us to that race.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I do like him as a player as well, but I just don't think he'd fit into our mould. I think Grimes and Onyeka are obviously going to have big roles to play. I actually think Victor Torp in that midfield role could have a massive impact this year in the Premier League. I know he's a bit hit and miss in the Championship, but I just think the style of play, I mean, some of these teams are quite open down the left and right. I think when you got Mason Clark and Sakamoto, if they're effective down there, you could eventually get like Torp picking up the pieces and banging in a few goals this year. I just think he's that type of player to do it in the Premier League. I'm looking forward to seeing him, and I hope he starts the first few games of the season. So I think that's where our goals could come from this year, is towards outside of the box. I think we'd be I'm looking forward to seeing it this year. I think we'll have a good chance of scoring a few worldies at Stamford Bridge in the Emirates. How's that? Torp 1-0 from 30 yards at the Emirates, first game of the season.
Why not? Your average Coventry fan is asking, do we put a cheeky bid in for Charlie Hughes at Hull, given Hull's financial issues with the PSR?
He's going nowhere. They'll have that resolved before the deadline, so he's going nowhere.
I think they've got to sell a couple of players. Is that right?
I believe it's 6 million, and I believe Cole Joseph is set to go to Millwall for roughly 5 million. So they've almost made all of that up already.
That's a shame, but we'll see what happens there. Right, I'm going to slightly change the subject to talk about season ticket prices. I guess the main takeaways I can think of was the cheapest adult ticket, unless you paid the £500 like I did. But if you didn't do that, the cheapest ticket would have been £625, and the most dearest one was £800. I think the child one, I think in the premium zone was around £800, but I think you could get a fairly cheap season ticket elsewhere. I think in the family zone was about £150, I want to say. And he also announced about the removal of supporters clubs getting access to tickets, and it'll be balloted now with an away membership club. And I think fans of the big points would still get access to tickets. So I guess let's cover the first bit about the season ticket prices generally for the adults. Let's say, would you say, Scotty, they're fair prices if you live in Coventry? I know you're in Jersey, but if you was living in Cov, would you say, do you know what, I'm going to spend £625 on a Premier League season ticket?
Yeah, I don't care about money anyway. I'm very happy-go-lucky. I think £625 is a brilliant price for a season ticket in the Premier League. I'd pay it. I would pay it. I think 800 in the premium zone is about right. I mean, at the end of the day, we're a business model as well now. With the Doug King effect, what it's having, he's got to try and make some of these losses back on these Premier League packages he's sold. The only thing I disagree with slightly is I don't think he should be targeting families who have young children who have to pay £800. I think there should be a little bit more leeway for that. But no, in general, I think the prices are fair. That's all I can really say on it, to be honest.
Yeah, Cam, what's your view on the prices? From what you've seen?
It was to be expected. Apart from charging children £800 premiums, I don't know what's going on there. That's a choice. That's certainly a choice, and it's certainly not something I agree with, because I don't think you should be pricing children £800 for a game of football. That's a lot of money. And I understand he's trying to make losses on like free Premier League tickets and stuff, but at the end of the day, morally, I think charging a child £800 for a season ticket is really wrong. But aside from that, I think he's got the prices mostly spot on.
But I guess you could argue that if you're a dad or a parent and you're taking your son or daughter to a game, there's other places you could sit to watch. It doesn't have to be the premium zone. Maybe,
but at the same time, your seats in the family zone is not necessarily guaranteed. So if you can move, so you might think about moving, but if there's no seat able to move, you're kind of stuck. And that's probably, to me, the big problem. Because at the end of the day, I don't think a child should be charged that much for a season ticket ever, especially if they're unable to move.
No, I think it might be interesting to see if Doug King might revisit that. But I do agree with Scott's point. We're a business at the end of the day. He's got to sort of, I guess, make the money back from those fans like myself that have paid, the £500 and I've got a free season ticket. Where we have to pay £10 to Ticketmaster, but that's besides the point. So I think he's just about pitched it right for me. I mean, when you compare it with other Premier League clubs, I think we're about mid to lower table in the ticket. So I still think it's good value for money to watch a Premier League football, in my opinion.
I think you look at Fulham, and I was shocked.
£3,000.
£3,000 a season ticket. Goodness me.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least we know Doug's reinvesting a lot of them. Well, he's investing most of the money into the club, unlike the past. I'm not going to mention that. The stadium money's recovering. I don't know the ins and outs of what you pay for the stadiums. I don't really read into all of that. And obviously, the season tickets, like we mentioned, that came with the Premier League package. He's got to do something, and if he doesn't, we will find ourselves in trouble again down the line. He's got to do it. And as much as people, you're going to have 5% of people moaning about the prices, well, maybe more, but 95% of people will still pay the money to go because they're Coventry mad, and he knows that. He wouldn't do it if people weren't going to buy the tickets.
No. And I think also when we just spoke about players that we're linked with, how we need, although we've got the Premier League money now, you're still going to need ticket money through the gate, and that's still important that we as fans contribute towards getting these players.
Well, that's it. I worked it out, I think, last year, Mark, when it was I think it was 22,000 season tickets or something around those lines we sold. I think it works out about £14 million in sales, which is a drop in the ocean for Premier League standards. But if you times that by what now, there's going to be an increase of, probably 25% or some of it. Yeah. You're looking at nearly 16, 17 million pounds, which is going to go a long way towards one player and wages. So,
yeah, exactly. Another thing that was announced was a new store, new club store. That could be a good thing, can't it? I mean, it sounds like we're trying to expand on that side of things. So I think I'm quite excited to see that. And I think there's another, I can't remember what you called it, but like a place where you can watch different sports events as well. I can't remember if it was a bar or something like that. I could be wrong, but
that's right. I've just seen a comment on the live about Sky Blue Sam asking about any thoughts on the Haas link up, and that brings me to the racing simulators. Yes. And I'm like, yeah, at some point we're gonna have to give this a go, because I'm just gonna go on that racing simulator, drive in that Haas, drive very badly, crash the car, smash it to pieces, but I'm gonna have a good time doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a lot of exciting times ahead. I'm just trying to think what else. Away ticket was the other thing as well, with the announcement of the supporters clubs not getting their hands on the tickets. Do you think that's a fair thing? I think it's fair, because I think it gives everyone more of an equal opportunity to get access to tickets.
Yeah, good. And this isn't a dig at the supporters clubs. I think they are very important to the overall fan base. So there's you've got rugby supporters clubs, Leamington and Bedworth. You've got I think one in Cowden, one in Radford, etc. I don't have a problem with them, but I don't agree with them just getting a batch of tickets. I think the ballot is a fairer system. You obviously, because I think the allocation league wide is 3,000 in the Premier League. It doesn't get any bigger. I don't think it gets any smaller unless you don't sell out your allocation. So 10% of a ballot, that's 300 tickets. And I believe if you win a ballot one fixture, you're not eligible for the next game. So that way it keeps it fair, and everyone has a chance of getting a few tickets a season through that way if they have the away membership. I agree with it. Obviously, you have the point system, and it kind of makes it a closed shop in the sense that if they're saying people are going to get it all the time, but I think the ballot about 10%, so there's going to be 300 fans. That might increase next season if we stay up. I don't know, but 300 tickets every single away game. It's going to give everyone who don't have as many points a fairer chance to experience an away day. Which I've not been on an away day for years and years and years, but the last time I went on an away day, it's just a unique experience from a home game, because you're in enemy territory and watching your team potentially win away from home. Yeah. That was always a better feeling than winning a home game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's the atmosphere, because you're in the minority, and the feeling of winning is just absolutely brilliant, particularly away from home. It's a great, particularly if you're travelling a long way as well. But I also think the prices is going to be capped at £30 as well for the away games.
Yeah, it's it's regulation. Premier League clubs are not allowed to charge you more than £30. So yeah, instead of being ripped off by a Leeds or a Sheffield Wednesday or a Preston, who charge a lot of money for an away day, £30 across the board, whether that's Liverpool or Bournemouth. The only thing you're paying for is potentially a train or a coach ride on top of that £30. It just makes away days more affordable, especially when away days are extremely expensive as it is.
Yeah. I suppose, just going back to the football side of things, I guess the one thing we're not looking forward to, I guess, is VAR. Obviously, that's one thing which is probably one of the worst things. I think it needs to be banned personally, but I think it's here to stay. Would that be fair for you guys? Would you say that's the worst thing you're not looking forward to next season?
To be honest with you,
apart from maybe losing a few games as well.
To be honest with you, the VAR, I mean, the amount of times I watched football, I watched nearly every Premier League game last season that was on Sunday, Monday nights, and they don't get it wrong very often, if I'm being honest. You win some, you lose some. And if they review it and get it right, which they do most of the time, to be fair to them, it is what it is. It doesn't really affect the result, as in that you're not getting really screwed, apart from if you're in an FA Cup semi-final, which I'm not going to talk about. But no, it is what it is, isn't it? But we just have to get used to it. More added on time, but we're good at added on time. Bobby Thomas was banging a few headers this season, so anyone that has the Bobby Thomas to score the winning goal bets on Bet365 or whatever you bet on, get on him, because there's going to be more added on minutes this year.
Yeah. What's the thing you're dreading, Cam, from next season, apart from maybe us not winning a few games? Is there anything else you're dreading?
Not really. I'm expecting little, apart from just giving it a good go. We have little to nothing to lose. Everyone in the bookmakers are going to be expecting us to go down with Ipswich and Hull. Everyone's going to write us off. But you know what? I like it. And in regards to VAR, I believe there's been a rule in place in regards to the Wenger rule, where instead of like if the tiny part of your body is ahead of a defender, it gets chalked off. But now if it has to be the entire body ahead of a defender. Whereas I think it's the second Croatia goal, there were conversations saying, "Oh, was that offside?" But it wasn't, because some of his body was behind the defender, and the Croatia's second goal was perfectly legal. Yeah. And hopefully that rule is implemented in the Premier League, because before VAR came in, that was always like the unofficial rule, that if some of the body was behind the defender, the striker always got the benefit of the doubt. And I think it's just generally fairer.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, I think it's it is what it is with VAR. I don't really like it, but you know, I think it's the same for both teams. So hopefully we'll benefit out some decisions there. So we'll see what happens. Okay, let's move on. We'll just change the subject a little bit. We'll talk about the World Cup. Obviously, we can't have a show about talking about the World Cup, which is ongoing at the moment. We'll talk about Scotland, Cam, as you're a Scotland fan. Pleasing start and a big game tonight against Morocco.
Yeah, very pleased. If you were to show an advert of the World Cup, you probably wouldn't be showing Scotland v Haiti. It wasn't the best of games, very nerve-wracking. But that's what Scotland do. They don't make it easy. So you need to have a good heart, because, Scotland games are not nice to the ticker. But a good win. First World Cup win in 36 years, which is just crazy to think about, since Scotland beat Sweden 2-1. So it doesn't really matter how it happened. It's that Scotland won. They've got 3 points on the board. And as it stands, they sit top of Group C. Yes, they've still got to play Brazil and Morocco, two extremely difficult games against two sides who are top 10 in the world. But as the table says at the moment, Scotland sit top and the table doesn't lie. And I don't think Scotland should go into the next two games thinking, we have 3 points, we should just relax and just, we're through. No. Scotland have shown under Steve Clarke they're good enough to beat big teams if the big teams are not on it. Beat Spain 2-0 at Hampden. Portugal twice against Portugal was 2-1 defeat and a 0-0 draw. Unlucky not to win either of them. They've given England a good game over the years. Scotland have definitely got big results in them on their day. They just need to stay in the game against Morocco, and then who knows? Stay in the game, don't concede silly goals, stay strong defensively. Do that, you never know. Even a point tonight should be enough for Scotland. But if Morocco are off the boil and Scotland are at their best, there's no reason why Scotland can't get another win. It'll be extremely difficult, but it's the World Cup. Who thought Cape Verde were going to get a draw against Spain? Nobody. So why can't Scotland get something against Morocco?
I hope they'll be saying that first game of the Premier League season. Who thought Coventry can get a result against Arsenal? They do. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, no, I take your points, and I think the other things, Cam, is realistically, I think maybe one more point should guarantee at least third spot. So that should be enough to qualify. I thought, because looking, to be honest with you, in the 48 teams that are in it, is it 2 per group, 12 groups, so 2 teams, and I think another 8 teams. So I think it's 32. Right. It's 32 left. So really, you'd say as long as you get minimum 1 win, you should almost qualify, really. But I think maybe 1 point. And who's the other team in Scotland's group? I'm trying to think.
It's Brazil, Morocco, and Haiti.
over, of course, Brazil. So I don't think Brazil are the team they were. I don't think it'll be a tough game, but I don't think they're as good as. They're not going to win it, in my opinion. Nowhere near going to win it. I think France and Argentina for me will
we always get Brazil in the World Cup. We just can't. It's like Coventry and Middlesbrough. You just can't get away from each other.
Yeah, the love is very, very strong. England. Do you watch much England game, Scotty?
Yeah, I managed to get home. I was bowling that night, but I raced home and watched it with my lady. We were both kind of like a bit FaceTime watching it. We had like a little FaceTime football game, and we both said afterwards. I mean, in particular, Tuchel must have got the Warhammer out at half time, and it was like a different team altogether. I thought England were probably arguably the best team I've seen so far with France. I think Bellingham had a very good second half. I think Elliot Anderson, when he settled down, he was very good on the ball. I don't know if there was a couple of things. Obviously, Declan Rice came off. I don't know if it was just precaution. He looked really run down. And those Saka, whether he was carrying a knock and Madueke was a tactical start, but I was impressed with him. I just think Rashford as well, when he came on, he looked mega sharp and up for it. And I just think this England team, I know Harry Kane's getting on an age now, but he's almost like the Messi, the talisman, isn't he? People seem to just feed off him. And I think everyone around him is starting to realise this could be our time. We're talking about golden generations of teams gone by, like Belgium when they had that Vertonghen, Alderweireld, De Bruyne, Lukaku when they were all at their peak, and Hazard. I don't think England are anywhere near that. I think the golden generation of 2006 is well gone, but I just think Tuchel's taken a few risks which previous managers haven't been willing to do. As much as I like Gareth Southgate, I was always a Southgate fan, and I think he's been our best manager since Alf Ramsey. That's just my opinion. But I think Tuchel's really got his head screwed on here. And some of his selections, even the squad, I was like, what's he picking Kwanzaa and what's he picking Jordan Henderson for? But then when I looked at it and I thought, you know what, he hasn't taken Adam Wharton. But there's a reason for that, and that's because Declan Rice, Anderson are your number one, number two in that position, like Phillips and Rice were in the Euros. And if one of those gets injured, are you going to want to rely on Adam Wharton, who can be a bit clumsy in that position? Jordan Henderson's there, and he's had a good season for Brentford. I don't think it's the worst selection in the world, but as far as England go, I think they'll walk the group, and I actually think the only team that worries me is France.
I think Argentina will worry me as well.
I do think Argentina are a good side, but I just think they are susceptible to fresher young legs when it comes down to it. I just think there's a couple of old timers in the team that might be found out as the tournament goes on.
Yeah. Do you think there's quite a bit of pressure on Tuchel to win the tournament, bearing in mind Southgate got us to 2 finals in major tournaments?
No, I don't think there's pressure on him to win the tournament. I think a bit like Southgate when he came in for the 2018 tournament. I think he's got a chance to develop a very young squad. He's obviously got experienced heads in there like Kane and Henderson, like I mentioned. I just think there's a couple of players still I haven't mentioned, like John Stones. I didn't think he was great. I think he was probably the one that I'd single out there. And I'm looking at Harry Maguire back home. I think a couple of his selections, he's just I still don't think he knows what his best 11 is. He's been in the job a year and a bit now, but I don't think the pressure's on him to win the tournament. I think he gets the Euros and maybe another World Cup, and then they'll look at it again after that. But I think if we get to the semi-finals, which I expect us we will, I think it will be considered a success, if I'm being honest, this tournament.
I think he also signed a contract recently as well, so I think that sends the message that there's not real pressure from the Football Association on what's happening in this tournament. Just going to change the subject a little bit to the Ghana match with England. Cam want to bring in Thomas Asante. Glenn mentions about Shout, he put an assist against Panama. How much are you looking forward to seeing Thomas Asante play for Ghana, and what were your thoughts on his performances so far?
I think he was absolutely brilliant when he come on. I wasn't too surprised that he didn't start, because I had a feeling who Ghana were going to pick, and that's who they picked. There wasn't really a lot in the first hour or so until Thomas Asante came on, and that's when Ghana just started to come alive, and they were starting to take the game away from Panama. Semenyo picks out Thomas Asante really well. He runs to the box really well, and he picks out Caleb brilliantly, the young Danish. The young Ghanaian midfielder who's done really well in Denmark, who takes the goal really well. BTA, in my opinion, changed that game. And I I forget when you're playing Ghana, but I hope to God that Thomas Asante baggers against you. I'm not even sorry for saying that.
Well, fingers crossed you'll be wrong, Cameron. And I'm hoping that Morocco will deliver the knockout blow to Scotland tonight. Fingers crossed.
Did you just? I just hear that right? Oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
Go on, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm fighting fire with fire, so
It's a shame I'm using water.
No, I know. Right, so let's go back. Let's get serious again. Cameron, how far could Scotland get at the World Cup?
I think round of 32 is definitely doable. And if the round of 32 draw is kind to us, possibly the round of 16, which potentially, who knows, if Scotland finished in the correct third place position out of the 12 third place teams, you could potentially see a Scotland versus England last 16. So if that happens, things could get very spicy.
What about you, Scotty, on England? How far are we going to get this tournament?
I'm actually quite confident, Mark. The first tournament I've gone in for a long time. I've watched every single tournament since Euro '96, which, as far as I can remember back, really, which is when I started supporting Cov, because I've got a bit of a short memory. But I think we're going to go pretty close. I think semi-finals is very doable, and I know we can't meet them until the final. But I'm going to go England to win the final, beat Germany on penalties. How's that? With a German manager in charge.
That would be incredible. Because I'm looking at our path to the final. If we win the group, we could get, so it's the third place team for another group, whoever that is, could be Scotland. Round of 16, if we get there, Mexico, and that might be tricky if Mexico the host nation. Quarter-final against Brazil, Argentina semi-final, and then a final potentially against Spain or someone else, probably France. So I think it's tough, but I think defensive is where I'm concerned with England personally.
Mm-hmm.
I still think Spain are the team to beat. I don't think the draw against Cape Verde changes that. I think that stuff like that can happen. It can happen. You get shock results. In Argentina's opening game, they lost to Saudi Arabia and then went on to win the World Cup. So I don't think that result will change much in terms of my confidence in Spain winning it. England, I think they have the squad to go all the way. I do genuinely think so, but it's hard to say where they'll go, because my only concern is Cole Palmer winning that squad, and I'm going to bring him up because I think one thing England lack is just that bit of a maverick who can just change a game by the click of their fingers. And regardless of how you feel about Cole Palmer's season at Chelsea, nobody at Chelsea really had a good season, so I'm not going to use that against him. He's that player who maybe could change a game with a click of his fingers, and I think him not being on that plane, it could come back to bite England.
Yeah.
I saw something in Jude Bellingham the other night. I just saw he looked like he had a bit of a sparkle in his eye. It could be him. I mean, he saved us in the Euros with that overhead kick. I just think he's been quiet this season for Real Madrid, but he just looked up for it the other night. I think he could be the one.
Fingers crossed. Heart and head. Who's going to win the World Cup? Cameron first.
I mean, my heart is Scotland, but head is still going to say Spain.
Scotty?
My
heart's Canada, because it'd just be brilliant to see someone else win it and really open up the game. And my head says France.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with France as well. I thought they were incredible in that second half during the week, so I'd probably go for France. England in my heart, but France in my head. So we'll see. But anyway, guys, it's been great to have you on. Thanks for contribution to tonight's show.
Thanks for having me on, cheers.
That's all right. We might be doing some more shows later on in the summer, depending on what sort of news we get. But for now, we'll probably have a break. It's just a show tonight to talk about the fixtures. But obviously, we'll be back to normal service in August, where we're talking about our first game against Arsenal. I'll be trying to get an Arsenal fan guest to come on. And obviously, everyone's welcome to participate, ask questions, etc. So thank you guys for coming on. Just to finish off, our show is sponsored now by Corrigan Bentley, new sponsors. So they are a recruitment company based in Crawley in Sussex. So please look out for them. And I hope you've enjoyed the show, and we'll speak to you very soon. Good night.